John Carter of Mars was something I stumbled across when I was about 10 years old, and I just fell in love with the concept of this world. I never thought that I would be the person behind it being made, which I think is a great criteria to have as any movie maker. You want to be that passionate, that much of a movie fan, sort of tap into the audience member of yourself. I just finally got to a point in my career where I knew enough that I thought I know how you should make this movie. And I also felt like it wasn't going to get made unless I could use some of my film clout to get it made. Because I really feel like it had every reason to be made for decades.
So we want to be ready for about 6:45, ready to take down there.
Ready?
Yeah. We had 2 years of pre-production planning on how we're going to build the sets, what the costumes are going to look like, what the props are going to be like. You cannot get away with not knowing what you want when you tackle something like this. This is shooting day 52, and like every other day, we have a lot to do.
At the moment we're in Greenford. We are doing part of the Palace of Light sequence where the Farts arrive. We started shooting this sequence 3 weeks ago.
Hello?
Crew call is at 8:30, so all the extras need to be on set at 9 o'clock.
Come on up and we'll sign you in.
It can take them up to 2.5, 3 hours to get ready. So they're called in very early.
Morning, ladies. Hi, guys.
Go.
All the ADs position themselves into the various points at which extras go to, just to make sure that everybody's crossed off and we know where everybody is at each time. So they collect their vouchers and then they go into costume and then makeup and hair.
I think people would be surprised at the amount of time and the amount of people that go into creating a movie this size.
Hello. Good morning.
From makeup to costumes to these beautiful, huge sets. I don't know if you can ever really prepare yourself for the workload, but it's great to have a director that you trust so that you know the work that you put in is going to pay off.
See you in here. Bingo!
It's crazy, isn't it?
This movie goes over so many places in the story that we're in a completely different type of set, location, or interior or exterior every 2-3 days. Real life sets, green screen sets. The only thing I was anxious about was the pace of it. There's no way to be really prepared for it, but it's a nice change up after a long time of making animated movies in the same hallways and offices every day.
Morning. Generally, we only have to tattoo Lynn on the first day, and then on every subsequent day, just draw them in and paint. This morning, we're almost starting from scratch. This is what they look like before they go on. They're amazing tattoo transfers, and they were all designed by myself and the company, which specializes in tattoos. And each character in the movie, over hundreds of Barsoomians, all have distinctive, unique tattoos. One of the cool things about the way this all fits together, it really is like a puzzle with every little piece kind of contributing to the overall look.
When you have this kind of body art, you really do go into a different place.
But they were gonna get the lineup ready. I wonder if we can arrange that with Brendan.
Yeah.
We're going to the holding area to see if there is a lineup for me to approve.
Well, today we have around 20 Helium Army and 20 Sodanga Army. A lot of civilians.
How are you, my dear?
Very good.
Yes, good. She needs a red rag. This good. This needs to be tighter. This line can go.
Good. Excellent. Well, they're all good. They're all approved. They're ready to go to set.
Well, I've been here for about 3 hours now. Just a second finish in hair and makeup. Wig on, makeup done, costumes on, ready to go to set. But obviously have to have a little bit of breakfast first. Gonna hang out with the guys and have my toast.
Intense game of Scrabble going on there. Just warming up, getting our brains active, preparing for the day. How about elephant? Land.
Very good.
We've been working together for such a long time that we just have a bit of fun, chill out, and catch the odd 40 winks here and there as well.
I'm Stefan. I'm cooking for all the crew, the staff, the actors. Close to 400 people. So people are busy at breakfast, so I'm doing lunch. It's a busy morning, no time to rest. When the breakfast is done, we got lunch. Today we got a steak, fish and chips, Thai green curry, and dessert, I don't know yet. So it's a busy day, always busy day.
I gotta say, I've done a lot of crazy makeups, but there's something about this that's awesome.
It's awesome.
Because it's pretty. I'm not known for pretty. Just elegant face tattoo. Something Andrew was very specific on. He wanted the tighter in you got on the face with any tattoo, the more detail you saw. So if you zoom in really tight, there's little tiny different reds and designs in it. And if you were to look really, really tight, it's all Martian script that I put inside the tattoo. Not that anybody will ever see that. But you know.
But you know.
So this is the Palace of Light. As you can see, there's lots of green screen around, and that's so that we can add the whole vista of helium where this building is at the finale of the film and extend it beyond what the physical limitations are of the set. We build as much as we need to shoot in, and then everything else is added in later so that we don't restrict what Andrew's vision is.
Making movies virtually isn't as different from making live action movies. Certainly there's a lot of obvious differences, but the fact that you're both trying to make a great image on the screen that captivates you, that moves the story forward, and everything has a reason for being in there. In that way, they have no differences. And I was very happy to discover that. So far, so good.
Okay, so guys, good morning.
Good morning, Fraser.
So guys, today, very much a lot of the same. We're gonna have our special soldier team just in front of the spaceship here. All the other civilians as well, across the back of the spaceship doing your mad panic trick, all right? So, who's ready to go to war? Shall we go? Yeah. Let's go, guys. Let's go.
Hey, Robin, we good? We got Andrew.
It's a little clubhouse.
This is the new scaled one?
Yeah, that looks great.
So we're looking at it from two angles.
That's probably one of his biggest jumps.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's great.
That's fantastic. See how much squash you give it? I am always like, squash more.
When we see Taylor later today, we should show this to him.
Because it would really inform him for what he should be acting, on a land.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on a huge jump, so he's not been off, but at least lets him know. That's fantastic, guys. That's the movie I was always picturing.
Line up, grab your weapons. It's been going on for a couple of minutes, so you need to limber up, ready for battle. You know the drill.
If you're not wearing a costume, clear the set, please. Just for dangling and heliums and tharks. And rehearsal. Ready?
Every film that I've ever worked on for the last 20 years has been with 200 human beings, not with 200 computer programs. And I have to have the same conversations with my cinematographer on Wall-E or on Nemo about where the camera's going to go and why.
Rehearsal cut.
Great. Yeah, we just won't pull back that far.
Okay. The difference is I've got to do it all in a day, or I have to decide it on the fly without time to sort of take a breath.
All right, I'm going to go up there with you. Okay.
Andrew, just one thing. Yeah. Just before you go. With the wave of tharks coming down, we should make it like there's constant stream of tharks coming down, shouldn't we? So they should sort of pass. Some of the Zadangas really need to turn around and say, oh God, some more are coming to the foray, shouldn't they?
It's a wave of them coming through, and then everybody that's on this outside has to turn and go, oh my gosh, and the Zodangans have to start defending themselves, and the Elamites have to sort of back away and realize they're not attacking.
We should have 3 people on backpacks running down the ramp. just to give that sense of a wave. Do you know what I mean?
That'd really help everybody.
Yeah.
Right when they hit the rubble, that's their cue to start turning the
Should we say a beat after background or 2 beats after background?
2 beats after background, Zodangan's turn to start defending themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, copy that.
So look, Chloe, George, what you can do is clear away some of this rubble so that they can actually come down. Andrew, right from the outset of this film, is all about planning. But ultimately, we wanted to keep a sort of fresh spontaneity on set as well. So you'd always see us huddle and get down to the technical aspects of the shot, work things out, and then we'd pass it on to all the people that would make the shot work. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, lovely.
Of all the things in movie making that it's the most dissimilar between animation and live action is you can always go back and reshoot anytime you want in the digital world. Whereas live action, you got to get it on the day, and you've got to have been smart with how you can set up the cameras and how much you can get. So I've been so paranoid about that, I think I've kind of gone overkill, but so far it's going really well. They're just waiting for your cue when you turn, so if you want to let it get all loud and crazy, that's fine.
Department's clear. Recording and...
146 Adams, take 1.
How was that? Was that all right? Steve needs to be bigger if he's moving.
He needs to be more aggressive when he comes out.
Yeah, a lot more aggressive, mate.
Pass that on to David.
All right, mate. In this film, it is a very big physical drama film. Every scene is different. Every piece of action, we try and tailor it to that part of the scene, so you're not repeating the action. A lot of these extras worked on a number of sword films before, so they're all pretty switched on in what we need.
It's better. Being on set for this long, we're talking 14 hours at a time, you get to know people pretty well. You can learn pretty quickly who you want to be spending that kind of time with. This is a bit of fun we have. We do get bored on set, so this has become something. Basically, what we try to do is get everyone a big fright, especially the hand makeup. Because they're fooling around here constantly. What you want to do is, as they come up here, they'll be fixing something. Oh, and give them a fright. So that gets us to is actually get bored sometimes. But small things that keep us amused, you know what I mean? These minds aren't a lot.
Hello, I'm Mark Andrews, second unit director on JCOM. Some of the scenes involved ship-to-ship combat on Barsoom. These are airships that fire radium rounds at each other. And, well, basically one of my jobs is to film all the explosions. Awesome. So we're on a gimbal set here, which rolls so we can get the sense that you're moving in air. The ships are huge, and we want a sense of movement. This is up about 17 feet off the ground, and there's these hydraulic pistons that are moving it. It takes several minutes to get ready, but once it gimbals, it's a sweet ride. This is our explosion maker right here. It doesn't look like much, and those aren't real rocks, boys and girls. Those are, well, basically foam. So it doesn't hurt you at all when you get hit, but it looks good on film. There's pyrotechnics loaded in there. We have firemen that are standing by. It takes several hours to set up for an explosion, and the shot's over pretty much like that. That's how we do it. We just blew the hell out of the set. I'm gonna do it again. Thank you for joining us. 3, 2, 1, kablooey! Let's turn you around and have you start to come at us, and then the explosion will go off in front. Send you this way. You're gonna go upstairs. You're gonna run through here. You could be like here. Be holding on to this one. You can't reach anything. That's all right. What's that? 3, 2, 1. Kaboom! Right?
X-ray 7 golf, take 1. Y camera. 3, 2, 1. Oh no! Oh, stay set!
That is a great shot.
That was awesome. Thanks, Reese. You got it. All the hard work is paying off and really giving us texture to this world that was created by Edgar Rice Burroughs that we now get to actually physically be in and play in. So it's been an awesome ride so far, and I expect nothing to change. So thanks for checking in with us. I'll see you next time.
This is my mom's lifelong dream that I do something pretty. They were beautiful before. This blue with the tan is fantastic. Very dramatic.
Today, Deja fights Deja. I'll be working with my stunt double, Maxine, who is amazing. We got a little action sequence to work out.
We'll let those dry, we'll work on lips. I have to watch myself that I don't look into her eyes because I become hypnotized. So we'll finish her body makeup after hair because we have body makeup, glitter, diamonds, lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. So see you in hair. 360 degrees.
This is that only a third of this picture?
That's a quarter, yeah.
That's not even a third.
Yeah.
It's not even a third.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy.
When you have something this big, I mean, it kind of overwhelmed all of us in thought, but you know it's something you'd like to see on screen. So we actually built this virtually, and we shot it, and we cut it together, and we broke it down. We broke down exactly where the camera would be in every single shot. We're talking months of meetings on how we would shoot each of these moments. Once you kind of start to break it down in bite-sized pieces, it becomes less daunting, less intimidating. It's sort of that old adage, how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time. And that's pretty much how we've been attacking this sequence.
It's just all go, isn't it, in the morning?
All go.
You just need to make sure that all the bands and the clips are covered, because it moves about a lot and she's killing people.
This is her piece.
Just clipping it in.
No matter what hairdo we go with, that first 45 minutes of adding this piece in has to be done.
By the time we're finished with hair and makeup, I feel like I've had a complete day, so I have to re-energize and get ready for what is the actual shooting day.
The piece now has just been put into place. We weaved Lynn's own hair through, and what we're doing is put a slight S-wave.
Shagtastic.
Shagtastic.
And that's what we call Deja hair. Beautiful princess hair.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Next.
Everyone climb the hole. Pay attention. Safety first. Energy.
Because this is a big sequence, it's where everything culminates. There are moments of intimate connection, intense dialogue, big action, fast-moving things, slow-moving things. By the time we're done with this 2.5 weeks in this location, we'll have done just about everything you can do in movie making. Cut!
Well done, folks. Excellent.
How'd that work? Yeah, it looked good.
I thought it was awesome. No, it looked fantastic.
Do it again.
This is craft service. Hi, Fraser. Craft service is the food in between breakfast and lunch and after to keep everyone going. So we're just on set all the time with bits. Hot drinks, hot food, and cold stuff as well.
Salty stuff and unhealthy.
Yeah. Naughty and nice.
Yeah.
You're naughty and nice.
Yeah, I'd say so.
When we close for 5 minutes, they panicking. They like, oh, we want a coffee.
I need a coffee.
Yeah. Nearly crying sometimes.
It's very full on, but I enjoy it. Yeah, it's your motto, darling.
I came on board because of Andrew. He was the hook. I had worked with him before on Finding Nemo. Because of his background, he has a different approach to filmmaking. I started talking to him about it. I could feel his passion. The script was very strong. I said, listen, you want me to play a Thark? I'll play a Thark. I would love that. Where do I sign?
How quick of a charge can you do? Nice. I'll take that. That's good.
I sometimes miss in movies the physical challenges, and this had lots of physical challenges, not only with the stilts, but some of the gestural language, the fact that we had to learn a Martian language. You know, you just gotta adjust your head and embrace them as techniques rather than obstacles.
Now, normally, Lynn will have had time to get a little spray tan. It stays for a few days, but scheduling didn't work out, so hence a little bit more makeup. We keep calling and ordering more and more stuff. I'm like, my God, what kind of movie are you guys making? Big one.
Pretty different from what you saw coming in, isn't it?
My thinking behind her wedding gown was that when she's completely dressed, she's like a giant shining Barsoom statue. So we actually go in and put little glitter and tiny crystals all over her tattoos, so she just shimmers.
Wow.
Wow.
Et voila.
Voila.
Now we get dressed.
All right, guys, going back on set. Same positions as we were before. Spaceship 1. Let's go, please.
Especially meet an idol, exceed your expectations.
It was like typecasting. It's like we got Tars, like everybody respects it. You know, you're bringing all that Thark respect.
Andrew is very insistent that he wanted these scenes played by human characters where the human figures interact with CG figures. I'm not sure that that's ever been done to this degree. I'm playing all the scenes. It's not just motion capture on green stages. I'm walking around on stilts in this environment. So it gives a kind of integrity. I think that's very important.
3, 2, 1, act!
Like all performance, your job remains the same, to give them the richest material to work with.
God, that's fantastic. Circle that. All right, let's do one more. This is us most of the day. Just standing and waiting and waiting.
Live action filmmaking is this interesting combination of frenetic activity interspersed with long periods of just waiting around. That's a big difference between it and animation. Animation, you can kind of predict and schedule it like clockwork.
When you're on set for this long, your highlight of the day is when lunch comes around. To make or break a film, what the catering put out is pretty much paramount to whether we have a good day or a bad day.
I'll have the fish, the fish, sir. What a white steak.
We do a lot out there, especially with the fighting, you build up a bit of appetite. But then to make decisions on what you're going to have too, it's not easy doing this stuff. Today there was steak, there was fish, a Thai green curry. You can imagine mine just working overtime. Basically went for the steak with the mushroom sauce, mushy peas, very English, and then a load of salad. Stay away from the biscuits because you can put on some serious weight doing this kind of stuff. And we're supposed to be buff, so we don't want to do that.
Will that be?
All right, good. Good. Yeah. Oh, happy guys?
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen. Dude, it's a fun bit.
Aboard for the move across the other balcony with Tars, Matt, Ty, and Lynn.
On this day, we have a total of 5 things we have to accomplish. We have the Tharks fighting the Zodangans, we have Tars, Tarkus, and Cantos. Then we have the Deja shape-shifting scene, which Lynn has been preparing to do all day. And then a stunt scene with Taylor's double, and also a shot planned with Taylor.
What bit are we going to do?
I think that's where I'm going to do.
Okay.
Okay? When they change, he'll just change in height. So basically, that head will go down to Mark Strong's height, and then it'll go down to Lynn by the half a head height. Okay. So you should get your framing that works for all three, and just you only have to tilt. Got it? Go ahead. That's great. Yep. And then that's going to come down.
Välkommen. Lena 100%. Hello, lovely.
Hi, Lynn. Framing. Hey, boss.
Cheers. Hi, Tom.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right.
In reading the script, there's aspects that are just so far out there that I was like, what is this going to be like? It's just so amazing to be a part of a project that is so broad and that is creating this world that no one's ever seen before. It's amazing, isn't it? And I think that's what people want, something that's going to take them to another place.
Hey, how are you, Lynn? Good to see you. All right, come on down. Willem will be standing here. who's actually Matai. With a little bracelet, he is about to kill Carter, and you've got to stop it. So you hit the wrist, and he'll turn around, and we'll reveal that it's you. You're going to put the sword point to the neck, and he's going to basically change in front of you from Tars to Matai, and he will change into you.
Right.
So there'll be times where I'm asking you to be more like Mark.
That's cool.
Hey, good to see you, Mark. How are you? How you been?
Good.
This shot, this is another one of those funky little tricks we're gonna ultimately make look pretty when we're done in post. I'm gonna shoot my first take, and Wilm's gonna be in it for reference.
Okay.
I remember right at the very beginning, the thing I came away struck with was his enthusiasm. And that hasn't waned in the whole time that we've been shooting, which is phenomenal.
And then you're going to go to his neck, and then we're gonna step out, and I'm gonna say lower down to Mark.
It is an incredibly draining, exacting experience to direct a movie of this size, especially if you've never done live action before.
Come closer.
He has been utterly consistent in the enthusiasm that he's communicated to us as actors.
And then you. All right, good.
And then what? I'm going to disarm you in a minute and then become you.
Yes.
So you have a fight with yourself, which is existential madness.
And that'll be cut. What could be more simple?
Let's shoot it.
Let's shoot it. Let's shoot it.
148 Martha and the Muffins, take one.
Push the sword up to his neck and step out, Willem.
Andrew has that ability to create something out of nothing, which all true animators have to do.
Now you're amazed?
You truly are a third.
Your Highness, how could you possibly be a third?
Changes. Cut. Beautiful. Love that. All right, now it becomes evil Deja. Medallion? Deja medallion. We have the necklace at the right length for her. Right there. Let's see how that goes. How does it hang? Right there? Good. How's that feel? Good. So I think the attitude will be just confident. Just like, ta-da. Yeah. Nice, nice.
And of course, there was moments of, can I do this? She's this archetypal female. There's so much to embody.
Early on in casting, I was reading opposite her, and she's just had all this strength and passion, sort of an immovable force behind her. And I thought, that's a woman that'll fight for Mars.
Your Highness, how could you possibly be a third?
And then lunge. And cut. Round, round.
What are you doing? How do you get the sandwiches? What are you doing? What time is it?
It's sandwich time.
We got cheese and pickle, chicken, ham and pickle.
Sandwich.
No takers for sandwich. I'm not a caterer, by the way. I'm a set PA. I just deliver this stuff. I'm not a caterer. Just so you know.
You're cross. One of these.
Today, Taylor's been sitting in his trailer ready to work, and at around 4:30, we realized that we're not going to get to him.
We'll probably miss one shot today. We'll do this wraparound now, and then the next big event is Lily Pup.
Yep.
Which should be Mark Mortram.
Let Taylor go is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And that means we can then do Taylor leaping in on Monday morning.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's kind of ironic that on this day when we were shooting this DVD feature, Taylor didn't work, because he's constantly on camera. He's in every shot.
Here we go. Okay, dead still, dead quiet, set.
One of the challenges of any movie is keeping the crew and the cast engaged and energetic right to the end of the day.
Cut. Colin?
Yeah.
As fast as you can do that move.
Yeah.
The days are long and arduous, and sometimes it's just tedious. But you really just have to make sure that you keep your performances great and the technical aspects at their top level.
Nice, much better. And cut. Love that.
It's the wonderful Willem done for the day. Thank you, Willem. See you on Tuesday, Willem. Well done, sir. Pleasure was.
Team played well. Man of the match. Hat-trick, 3 goals. Hugh on the left was brilliant. Boom.
Alright, scene's up. Ladies and gentlemen, double deja.
Double deja. Maxine, the best.
One more shot for you both. So you two are wrestling over here. We're down below with Mark playing Carter. We'll do the big leap up.
I want a little bit of hair pulling and scratching. Is that okay? Do you mind? Just a little hair pull, scratch.
Yeah, and then you point it at that way, like right there, that, and then we came in to here, to there.
It's pretty good.
Can we go practice that?
Yes, please do.
Okay, let's go do that.
I'll just tell you all first.
Ladies and gents, thanks for a good week. You are released. Have a lovely weekend. I'll see you next week. Well done, guys.
Nice. Okay, so this is the last shot of the day for Friday, the 26th of March. We need to have Carter jump up onto the balcony to try and save Deja. So we have Lynn wrestling, and at that same time, we'll have Taylor's double leaping up onto the balcony. Sounds like a simple shot, but it actually takes a ton of coordination. I hope we'll make the day. We'll either go over or we'll be setting up a wonderful shot for Monday morning. So, there you go.
Yeah.
Let's try this.
Lynn's a trooper. As soon as she starts, she's just rolling and rolling. When she gets it wrong, she gets frustrated, and it's like, just calm down, just cool, just chill, and then she nails it.
Punch.
That's it. It's just making sure that everything just flows naturally. Their bodies are just going to go bang, and that's it.
Quick eyes. Lovely. That's.
Andy, how's your day been?
Fantastic. It's best days of my life. Best days.
Living the dream. Living the dream. Living the dream.
Attack. Pressure is savage.
Yeah.
Yesterday, you did the jump with Taylor, leaping up to save Deja, 2/3 of the way up, but not landing him, because the landing is always the dangerous part.
That's great, man.
Like you're enjoying
It's
it.
really great, yeah. And it helps to just be in the moment, too.
From day one, I've been tested on every level and then some, but I love the challenge.
These actors and stunt doubles feel very, very comfortable in the environment that we're putting them in because of the amount of time and effort we're putting into preparing it and making it safe for them. Just a little bit, mate. All right. Let's call it there. Yeah, that's plenty.
Box is in, mat's over.
Yep. Done. It takes a big team and a lot of effort and a lot of voices in that team to come to the conclusion we come to on films of this size. All right, mate, let's take up the tension on these lines and do it.
3, 2, 1, action! Okay, good.
Marmotron's not really scared. He's not scared. Last shot of the day.
Last shot of the day.
Ma, with your legs, sir, push off and try and reach in for the landing.
You remember what Taylor did, like that big push up here. See that? So it doesn't look like you're lifted?
Yeah. Take up just a little tiny bit, mate. A little bit more, just a little bit more. Pick a high point when you look, mate. Thank you, mate. Okay, Dave Conley, you set?
Get Neil set.
Okay, Mark, check your bottom position. That's it. Okay, thank you. Stand by up top. Okay, let's go live. Okay,
Camera set.
Live.
Everyone ready?
148, Rod Stewart, take one.
Here we go, and 3, 2, 1, action!
Ah, that was great!
Well done, Mark. Awesome. Well done.
Great!
Go, Mark. Nice. Go, Mark.
Pick him up, bring him down.
That was fantastic.
You like that, sir?
Yes. Great one.
Yeah.
All right, we're into the day.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well done, Mark Mottram. Folks, thanks for a great week. Much you have a safe, great weekend. Thank you all very much indeed. That is a wrap. Thank you all very much.
Well done, team. Well done.
He's on the ground, thank you.
End of day.
Hundreds of people have worked on this movie, but I swear it feels like thousands. There's so many micro judgments, so many steps that just go on for years and years. It almost doesn't seem possible to accomplish what we've done. When I look at one day like this one, I realize that we did it by just taking it one step at a time, one moment at a time, and by having really talented people take the journey with us.
Now it's dark.
See you all later. Take care. Woo! John Carter rocks!
Where the hell am I?
Stand by.
And cut.
I
guess the thing that made me feel it was actually possible to make John Carter now was because of how much I understood computer animation and what we were capable of now. How to make a purely computer-generated character believable and interesting and likable.
The main challenge for us was to create living, breathing characters that had to stand right next to living, breathing, real people and look as real to the eye as Taylor looked on film.
And if we can make a 9-foot green alien, then you've conquered reality.
You are ugly, but you are beautiful.
Every now and then a project comes along like John Carter, and it's a fantastic project because it's a mix of animation with photoreal that makes John Carter unique.
Okay, and action.
This movie, John Carter of Mars, its scope is pretty massive. It's almost fair to say that there are two films being done. One is kind of what you're seeing shooting behind us right now. And the second part is actually all the visual effects, because almost 50% of the cast is completely digitally created.
It was a solid year of pre-production to come up with all of our creature designs. And one of the things that we did very early on to kind of start the process of the visual development, we shot a 2-minute test with a Thark.
The biggest hurdle, visual effects-wise, was the Tharks, because there was so much demanded of them. You had to believe nature really produced these creatures. We designed them based on anatomy and physiologies that exist in our world of Earth.
We've actually modeled them after African Maasai warriors who are very tall and gaunt and ropey. And they live in a desert setting, very much like Mars. So we're trying to bring in things that feel very organic.
What we learned very quickly is that if there is logic behind it, it becomes that much more believable.
I really felt strongly that to get believable performances from the animated characters, you'd need reference of actual actors doing it.
Andrew showed me designs, and I was quite struck by the beauty of the designs. I was excited by the prospect of playing a 9-foot-tall Martian warrior.
Jedak. Tars Tarkus.
Because 95% of the Thark moments are with a human, we have to have an actor acting against an actor.
Andrew was very insistent that he wanted these scenes played out. You still have to perform it with a kind of heart and with a kind of believability, even though you're doing these wildly exaggerated actions because of the technical requirements. You still have to stay with it.
And he will be called Dotar Sojat, my right arms.
No. I don't fight for anyone.
You can just tell when somebody's acting against a green wall versus somebody acting against a real person. You can just see it in their eyes.
I tell you, it's helped me so much. You bring in an incredible group of actors to bring these characters alive. And if he's there in character, I do really look at Tars and connect with him, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
This is madness, Dotar Sojat. You'll die! I'll see you down the river, Is.
Even though it was very demanding, all of these actors enjoyed the idea of putting on a different kind of mask.
Pretty, huh? The actors donned a motion capture suit, and they had to walk around with these dual cameras which constantly shone lights in their eyes and blocked their points of view.
And we just decided to slightly position them so that they'd feel like what the tusks would feel like for the Thark characters, so that the actor didn't mind these things staring at them. They actually made you just imagine their tusks.
Having us here in the mocap suits, it's the only real way for it to not become completely mechanical. They've gone away from motion capture. Now they talk about it more as performance capture. You know, it's human capture.
They also had the dot matrix on their faces, and that helps the animators actually extrapolate the information that the cameras capture when they're acting and actually map it onto the CG character.
As an actor, it has been very hard. The head rig felt tied to my rig that I have to wear. It gets heavy, but I just love it. I'd be like, I'm part of this new technology. And that feels really exciting, to be part of something as an actor. You know, acting's been going on for many, many moons. And now here we are communicating with this technology. It just blew my mind. It feels like you get out of bed every morning, you're like, bring it on, come on.
I must honor my Jeddak and redeem my unworthiness.
You want to honor your father? Then stay alive and help me.
My father?
Andrew said, you're going to be 8'9". You know, we want to do a lot of stuff on stilts, if you guys are up for that. And that was a little daunting. You know, it wasn't easy, but to me, that's the authentic character, is me towering above everybody, you know?
When we shoot these scenes, we'll shoot the scene first on stilts. Then we'll do it again with just us playing the scene with heads on sticks. And then one where they take some figures and they do tests with balls to test the lighting and all that. That's like a special effects take. And then one with just Taylor. So he's got to have a memory to duplicate how physically things are accomplished. These are all different modes of filming to help the animators.
It's tremendously helpful to the animators to have this, not only for actual digital information, but also for reference. What does Willem Dafoe do when he smiles? What happens to his eyes?
The way I look at it is I'm creating material for them to work with. But that's sort of true in all film. You're generating something and then it gets changed into a performance afterwards.
So it's really the pairing of a great actor with a great animator, making the perfect hybrid performance. To make believable characters.
We had talking and acting characters, so we needed to hire animators that could handle performances.
In any sort of animated film like this, it has a ton of character animation. It's like casting your actors. They are your actors.
You should give them the same kind of scrutiny and auditioning that you might with any other leads on a live action set.
We hired a lot of animators who are used to working with a realistic style of animation. And as we get into it, we started to move away from that on the creature side. So Woola, for example, is a lot more cartoony in our approach to animation.
We have almost a full-scale head for Woola with a mouth that opens and eyes that move so that the actors actually have something to act off of. We'll do many takes with him to try to get the actors familiar with him, and then we'll remove him for a take or two so that they're acting against nothing, and he'll be put in digitally.
The starting point of Woola acting is, first of all, make the character alive and make it interact well with what has been given us as a backplate.
Woola was difficult to animate because he had to break the rules of physics with him because he could move so fast.
Quit it!
And all those legs, you had to rig his flesh so it would move appropriately. Very, very demanding.
On an appeal factor, everybody loves Woola. You know, it's the dog everybody's always wanted, so in a weird way.
We reached an epiphany with him in a scene when John Carter is talking to Woola, and Woola looks at him. We animated it as if he was listening. And Andrew was like, no, 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 take that out, take that out. He's just a dog who loves his master. And as soon as we looked at him like a real animal, we played the scene differently. He looked at John Carter with massive puppy dog eyes, a big dumb creature, and everybody suddenly fell in love with him, and that's Woola.
You belong to him! Woola would follow you anywhere on Barsoom!
Then you have the thoats, which are massive, almost horse/cattle type creatures. The thoats in the movie kind of present a different challenge than the other characters because they actually are being ridden on and they're constantly in movement, so that we had to figure out kind of how are we going to make this movement feel real and have it actually affect actors in the scene in a way that we could then replicate when we put it into CGs.
We'd done a whole bunch of animation tests with a digital saddle.
So we had a first version, slowly trying to make these shoulder hits and all the weight hits on the shoulder to animate and key the same beats as he would move and rotate around. And that was a really successful test.
And we gave that animation a test to the guys that built the rig.
We had these amazing rigs that were practical saddlebags so that the actors could sit on them that were attached to these ATVs that then were programmed by the animators into the saddle mechanism.
So you just buy the reality of it. It's like completely convincing.
Being on these huge four-wheel rigs, that makes you feel like you're on a thoat that actually has the movement, you're driving it, and you have the reins. All those things help you make it more real.
There was a specific design and look to the Warhoons, a kind of Neanderthal man, caveman version of a Thark. So their clothing had pieces of bone from their previous victims. They were bigger, stronger. It's always a challenge with the big crowd-oriented animation scenes. We've got so many characters in every shot. The challenge of it was making sure that our first layout stage was clear and every shot really did its job and read. Because paste to a piece of music, you have a very fast cut. Some of our shots are really big and wide, and when you go that wide, we have a crowd tool, a separate piece of software that does a simulation of hundreds and hundreds of characters. And then often an animator will by hand add details in the large crowd shots just to make you believe what you're seeing.
From day one, as soon as we got asked to work on the film, we said, if we do one sequence out of the film, we want to do the White 8 sequence. We were just blown away by the whole scale and the spectacle of the scene.
We really liked the notion of white apes because they get brought up again and again and again through lots of the books.
We had a bunch of conceptual designers drawing a ton of things and trying to come up with, scale and, well, what makes them different from, say, a great ape on Earth.
Our initial reaction was to go down the sort of King Kong route, which Andrew wanted to steer us away from that because he felt like the audience would be too familiar with that.
Then the big idea came that they actually don't have eyes, so that they survive from a keen sense of smell.
There's no real story point where you're told these things are blind.
Yeah.
So we had to sell that very quickly with the performance. That was a challenge in itself.
The raw scene is Taylor acting in front of a prosthetic head on the end of a crane, pushed by two special effects guys.
Then you've got Taylor being lifted and thrown around.
The Great White Ape scene was something I'll never forget. Just the energy in that ring, it was really great.
And it was really Taylor, a bit of sand and a bit of sky. And then the rest was added in.
Our team was responsible for the ape arena, so our job is to create a very broad, extended environment that seamlessly integrates with the set.
Yeah, pretty much all the environments we have doctored and changed in a certain way. Pretty much every shot has a background done by us, and we can extend the sets.
What was tricky often was that we would be doing, these major set extensions, and so the environments needed to fit with these characters that were being created, so that, you believed it would have the kind of scale and it would have the kind of authenticity.
You have to make it feel like these guys really are in there. We really plussed that sequence.
Tharks did not cause this, but by Isis, Tharks will end it.
John Carter's an amazing experience. It really summed up the whole visual effects world. The whole show has been a collective, creative process.
Somehow the amalgamation of the actors, the technology, and Andrew Stanton's direction allowed us to really have living, breathing characters that are in the movie as much as the live action characters side by side.
The process of making an artificial world like this just takes so many steps that go on for years. And it always ends up just being the most humbling, breathtaking look back at the end of it all. You just can't believe what you were able to do.
When I saw you, I wished to believe it was a sign that something new can come into this world.
In telling how I became an author, I should be able to expatiate on the fact that I took to writing professionally before leaving kindergarten. As a matter of fact, I was 35 years old before I wrote my first.
I was raised in a town called Rockport, which is on the northern cape of Massachusetts. It was a little fishing village artist gallery community. It was very isolated, nothing to do, nowhere to go. You had the ocean on one side and the forests behind you. When I was about 11 or 12, I remember going over to my friend's house. He was drawing these, what I now know were tharks, these sort of 9-foot, 10-foot tall characters with 4 arms, swinging swords at this sort of half-naked guy, and I didn't know what the heck that was. And I asked, and they said, oh, it's John Carter. Just at that time, in the mid-70s, there was this limited run of a comic book series of stories of Edgar Rice Burroughs. Part of Carter's attraction for me as a kid was just the grand adventure of another world.
My early career was a great disappointment. I had failed in every enterprise I had ever attempted. At last, I got placed as an agent for a lead pencil sharpener. We advertised in a number of magazines, and I sometimes took the magazines home to read. I remember thinking that if other people got money for writing such stuff, I might too, for I was sure I could write stories just as rotten as theirs. A Princess of Mars was published as Under the Moons of Mars by Norman Bean, a pen name that I adopted because I was mortified by the thought of having my own name connected with anything as foolish as fiction writing.
Burroughs was definitely slumming it for a paycheck on John Carter Mars when it started out, and then I think it grew into something bigger.
It really saved his life. Writing it saved his life. He was desperate. It wasn't financial desperation, it was existential despair. You can feel that the way John Carter is transported to Mars, and the depth of that yearning to just break free of your body, to break free of the bonds of Earth and go adventuring and wandering.
I resolved to give my imagination free rein. The result was the Martian stories.
I think that one of the things that you have to give Edgar Rice Burroughs credit for is the quality of world building. I mean, he created virtually entire languages, you know, entire cultures.
I think that he was onto something really substantial thematically, and I think that there are shining moments that still ring out a century later. So when Burroughs points to Mars, he's really pointing to here. It's dwindling resources, it's tribalism returning as we fight for water, as we fight for anything. What's nice about science fiction when done right is it actually has a relevance to us in the present day.
Highly imaginative fiction, such as I write, demands the retention of a youthful and elastic mind.
The important scientific element that fed Edgar Rice Burroughs' imagination, I think, was the work of this one astronomer, Percival Lowell, kind of a gentleman astronomer, and had gone out to Arizona and built an observatory and looked at the planet Mars.
Speculation about life on the planets goes very far back, at least 400 years. Mars rose up in that speculation when Percival Lowell observed Mars. And according to his read of what he saw through the lens, there were canals on Mars. And he wrote entire books on the existence of canals on Mars. His imagination got the better side of him. And in there are his hand drawings, elaborate networks moving in and out of what he identified as cities. This was good stuff if you have imagination and you're a novelist.
As the surface of Mars was formerly identical physically with the Earth, and as similar conditions doubtless still prevail on both planets, there's no reason to question a like evolutionary development from identical life forces.
The influence of John Carter on Mars is far-reaching. There's a lot of stuff that's just so deeply ingrained into the very fabric of what fantasy sci-fi is. I've heard comparisons that Superman comes from it, because he was a man who had super strength. I see a lot of the reverence with which Lucas attacked the Star Wars universe, the idea of the princess, and the idea of being able to have a fantasy story told on a sci-fi backdrop. John Carter is hitting some mythological nerve. There's strong archetypes and there's strong imagery in those books.
This is a very well-imagined world that Edgar Rice Burroughs has created. John Carter had to be there in order for Star Wars to happen or Avatar to happen.
Wherever you might look around in the media landscape, in the world of fiction or films, you can credit Edgar Rice Burroughs for having had a hand in that.
Publicity is essential to success. With all the thousands of books on display in a bookshop, I had to bend every effort to have my covers not only artistic, but at the same time demanding the attention of the passerby.
Pre-internet, pre-videotapes and everything, the only way you could see literature realized visually was the illustrations of these books.
When I was first buying those books as an 11-year-old kid, the illustrations went from interesting to amazing. The artist was a man named J. Allen St. John. J. Allen St. John became the reigning illustrator for all the Burroughs books.
St. John's work really illustrates my stories. His visualizations of some of the nightmare creatures of my imagination are truly remarkable. After the success of Tarzan, motion picture royalties began coming in regularly. With my career safely insured, we moved to California and founded Tarzana Ranch. It's far removed from the unnatural pressures of the big city. That is, except for the Hollywood producers who come around looking to buy the rights to my stories.
In the 1930s, Bob Clampett, a Warner Brothers animator, wanted to do John Carter of Mars as a full-length feature animated film. And he did some test footage. He couldn't get the backing to do that film, and so the project languished.
I came to John Carter in the late 80s. At that point in time, the digital age had not quite blossomed, and there wasn't really a way to do all of the character work in the film other than prosthetics and puppets and suits and so forth, so it eventually fizzled out.
Back before Iron Man, we developed John Carter Mars for like a year, but the studio let it go. People have been trying to make this movie for nearly 100 years. And I remember when Andrew Stanton was attached, Disney immediately picked up the rights. And at that point, I was just excited to see it as a fan, because I knew he would do something interesting with it.
The biggest challenges for adapting the material on the screen was how to give it a sense of a preordained three-act structure, because the books didn't have that. It suffered from the episodic nature of how it was originally written. I was looking to, in a way, preserve the most memorable people and situations and relationships and set pieces that I did from the book, but have it all be of a much larger grand design.
I think Edgar Rice Burroughs was way ahead of his time as well, and especially for his first science fiction novel. And it's actually the 100-year anniversary, so it's kind of perfect that we're making the film.
Once in 100 years, perhaps, there's a great piece of fiction that actually molds public opinion. I have the great satisfaction of knowing that I gave those people who bought my books the best my ability permitted.
These are these grand novels of hairbreadth escapes and daring rescues and mighty armies clashing. And you have all these elements of the swashbuckling romance story, but it's transported to another world where anything is possible.
The desire to make movies is a desire to create worlds and characters that are beyond what you know you're going to experience firsthand in your own life. And I think the desire to see the stories of John Carter put on the screen was the strongest thing that stayed with me through my whole life. The thing that surprises me the most is I look up and I go, it's actually happened. It's actually happened. It's got put on the screen.
Barsum.